All right. Hello, coffee makers, not coffee takers. He is the master of cyber farms, Alfredo B. Nash Jr., and I, the people's chief, Dr. Joseph J. Bermilla Jr., and we're your hosts for the Cyber Coffee Hour. Alfredo and I, Fred.
Oh, you know what? We're going to play the lottery.
All right. Hello, coffee makers, not coffee takers. He is the master of cyber farms, Alfredo B. Nash Jr., and I, the people's chief, Dr. Joseph J. Bermilla Jr., and we're your hosts for the Cyber Coffee Hour. Alfredo and I hail from Mount Vernon, New York, and we are excited to share our experiences and stories along with those of our incredible guests. Our mission is to impart knowledge, enhance understanding, and cultivate a sense of community in the expansive world of cyberspace. So for today's show, we'll have a coffee chat with Pocket Prep CEO Peter Murphy. Now, Peter J. has built a well-rounded career through leadership, strategic thinking, and hands-on experience. His journey spans roles across business development, product management, and operations, consistently focused on improving processes and driving growth. He's developed strong partnerships, worked on high-impact projects, and contributed to long-term success for startups and established companies. His approach is collaborative, preferring to work closely with cross-functional teams to meet business goals while maintaining a positive work environment. Peter's ability to adapt to new challenges is reflected in the diversity of his experiences. From leading business units to managing complex projects, he has consistently found ways to add value. Whether negotiating key deals or developing innovative strategies, he is committed to fostering sustainable business relationships and achieving success without unnecessary complexity. Throughout his career, Peter has remained focused on continuous learning and embracing new opportunities for growth, which has helped him remain relevant in a dynamic and ever-changing market. Peter Murphy, welcome to the Cyber Coffee Hour.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. So Peter, if you could just share a bit. I mean, well, for one, thank you for being on the show. What are some of the things that you've had going on as of late?
Yeah, so we've been doing some strategic planning, getting the business in line for all the cool things we want to do next year. So for those who don't know Pocket Prep, we are a mobile-based e-learning solution where you can basically drill lots of practice questions depending on whatever exam you need to study. We've got 150 different exams that we cater to. Everything from, the tech exams like CompTIA and the CISSP, some of those advanced like cybersecurity and IT exams, all the way through to medical. EMT is very popular, paramedicine, nursing. And so we really kind of focus in on how to help people prepare and beat those exams because they really do stand in the way of higher salaries, better job prospects, wherever you want to go as an individual in your career. And so, yeah, we've been just thinking about how can we make studying suck less, how we make it more fun and engaging and tell you when you're done studying so you don't have to do it too much. And that's really what we've been up to. I'm excited to share about it.
Awesome.
And so, Peter, how long has Pocket Prep been around? Because I'm just hearing about you guys. How long has it been around?
Yeah, so we started back in 2012.
Really
wanted to take advantage of the app landscape and give people affordable education as opposed to some of these websites and textbooks have gotten super expensive. Everything's more expensive. We all know that.
Right.
But we wanted to kind of set out and use that bite-sized app-based learning. There's a lot of cool science that goes into quick stuff that you could do on your phone. And so 2012 started doing that.
That's awesome. Alfredo, how you been doing, sir?
I'm better. I'm in my second round of coffee now. Got some sunlight today. Finally went out, run around my house a little bit, getting stuff together in my yard, trying to just really still bring in the season. And other than that, I'm going to do some grocery shopping. So I'm amazing. We got my To Be Read pile behind me too. Got a lot of that to get through.
It's a big stack.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Yeah. 20 years of collecting these things.
More than just decoration, right?
Right.
That's awesome. All right. And as for me, just take, just trying to take it easy today. Nice, Sunday afternoon. The sun is out, which has been a break from the constant rain we've been having. So it is pretty nice to enjoy. So just have to appreciate all these moments. But I'm ready to get started and let's dig in. So Peter, so you've worn many hats in business development, product management, and operations. How has this diverse experience shaped your leadership style and strategic thinking?
Yeah, great question. So I went to a Florida kid, went to school in Florida, and Lockheed is a big presence out there. So They came to my high school and they showed up one day and took us all on a field trip to see this really cool factory. And their clean room and the cable and harness assemblies and all this stuff. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is super cool. I want to do that. And I'm the kind of person that just like lasers in on something like, yes, I want to do this. And then I just fight like hell to try to make it happen. And I did. I ended up getting the job at Lockheed, which was super cool.
Wow.
When I walked in there, I was like 23, 24, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed out of college. Didn't really know manufacturing other than what they'd shown me. Just knew it was cool, right? Like, wow, they're doing all sorts of high-tech stuff in here. This is neat.
Right.
And very quickly got to meet some of the guys and girls who worked on those assembly lines for decades. And they put me in charge. Said, now it's your job to go tell these guys what to do. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, they've been doing this forever. And seriously, people, it was like talking to my dad, telling him what to do. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
They just threw you right in.
Yeah, they threw me right into it. Said, you own this. And like, you tell us what's going on. That's how a big company works, right? They drop you in and you sink or swim. And so I went to the guys on the union line and I said, I need help. I don't really know anything. And they're telling me I'm in charge now. And they start laughing at me, they're poking fun, teasing me a little bit. But I found that by being vulnerable and just telling those guys like, hey, the company wants me to like help. I'm here to serve you guys. What can I do to take away these obstacles? What do you not like about your job? Oh my gosh, lots of feedback, right? Okay, cool. Well, I don't know if I can fix all that, but like, I think we're getting somewhere. Maybe I can help you guys. You guys can help me do this. And we just I kind of found a way to fit in without forcing it. And I knew that if I just talked to them and said, I know how I look. I'm young. They put me in charge here. This doesn't make any sense. How can you help me be successful? How can I help you be successful? And we had that kind of understanding right from the get-go. And it just really set the right foundation for us to be successful. And I became great friends with those guys and girls. And we worked for years together on, it was the Arrowhead line. So we used to make the black box assembly for the Apache helicopter.
Okay.
And they knew that product inside and out. I didn't. Do you know how to build one of those? I can't build one of those.
Absolutely not. I only heard about that in Nuclear Strike. The video game, like,
oh yeah.
So how did they, I didn't know they were unionized either. So how did that dynamic affect you as a young individual at a multi-million-dollar company, like a $1 billion? I mean, depending on what year it was, right?
Yeah, man. I think when I was working there, they had upwards of 140,000 employees, and a good chunk of that was union labor, or at least manufacturing, technical labor. It was challenging. They had rules that were put in place to protect jobs, which makes sense. But it would be frustrating sometimes because you'd have your boss or one of your many bosses saying, where's the hardware? Where's this at? It needs to get from A to B. Taking something from A to B was actually protected. There's a job for that. It's called an expediter. And that person would take it from A to B. And if you got in their way, you get reported to HR for, messing with someone's responsibilities. And so you very quickly figured out like what you could do as a salaried person versus what someone else maybe in the union side, what they were entrusted to do. And how you navigated that when you were simply saying, where, Steve? I need them to move this box. The engineers are waiting on it. It's sitting right there. The engineers are literally across the room. You are not allowed to move that box. You got to wait and you got to find the right person to move it. So there's some stuff there that I think it can feel a little bit bureaucratic and unnecessary, but at the end of the day, it was there by design to try to make sure everybody had a place that they could contribute. So it was challenging at first, but it made sense over time.
Yeah, I only asked because out of curiosity, that doesn't exist on the IT side, really. Like it doesn't, when you're writing software and stuff, that doesn't exist. So I thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
All right, so I'm sorry. That also plays into, you're known for your collaborative approach and preferences for working with cross-functional teams, similar to the unions. Can you share a specific example how this method led to a significant success or breakthrough in one of your projects there? Or anywhere for that matter?
Yeah, that's a great question. So as our company grew, we were never obviously going to be the size of Lockheed. And I had all this experience navigating a big company. And I had to figure out how we built something or how we continued to build something, because sometimes that's challenging too. When you got 5 people, get them all at a table, you can talk easily. Somewhere along the way, when you get to 15, 20, 30 people, I used to hear in the company like, oh, it stinks that we can't all sit at the same table at lunch, and I was kind of like, that's a good point. Like that's what I'm feeling from a leadership perspective. Like I can't just have everybody at the table and say, we've got to do this, guys, let's go,
Right.
And so we ended up coming up with this concept. Our director of product, Julie, did a great job. She brought to the company this mindset of product squads. So we would take engineers and designers, and we would take marketing people, and we would take the different disciplines, and we would sit them at a table, right? We would recreate that small group feel. And we'd say, okay, guys, your job, your outcome that we need you to work on is helping students, take this exam and feel great at the end of it. How do we do that, right? Or we want to move this business metric. We want to, I'm trying to pull something up here. make it more fun. We want to make it more effective. We want to have more people come back and tell us they passed. How do we do that? We're not going to tell you, go put this, go do this, go put this on the website, whatever. We want you guys to think about it through the lenses of all of your different expertises and things that you bring to the table. And that was awesome, guys. Like, it's a little difficult to navigate and manage because now you've got all these people coming up with ideas. It's like a garden, right? It's growing all these things. You got to kind of pick and choose what you want to water as a company. But that garden wasn't there before. And so we kind of set this up to grow and see what came out of it. And the coolest thing happened. You hear all this talk about AI. I'm sure you guys have talked about AI. We make content. We are a hybrid publisher / tech company. And so we sit down with subject matter experts and we actually have these multiple choice practice questions and very detailed explanations written by people, because only the people can look and know how that actually comes out. Well, now we've got generative AI. And the first thing I said was, that sounds like it's going to be really easy to produce. And here's the good news. It's not quite there. You can't just tell it to make really good education content. It will get things wrong and it will mix things up for now. But one thing that worked really neatly out of the box was its ability to look and see what you're doing in the app, your results, how the community answered certain questions and where you fall within that. Tons of data, right? And it can ingest that and give you a readiness score and tell you, you know what? Based on the ideal case, you're pretty close. You're getting ready. And we realized.
I think that's our first dog of cyber coffee.
Poor guy, he's got bronchitis, so you'll hear him kind of.
It's all good. Yeah. Well, what's your dog's name?
Dog's name is Mason. He's a black lab. He's a cancer survivor.
Oh wow!
Oh wow!
Someone's apparently at the door, despite letting him know we were doing this today. So I apologize.
Mason's still on the ball, even sick. That's good, man. What breed is Mason?
Black lab.
Black
Purebred.
lab,
He's
nice,
an old hunting dog.
Good duck hunter. There you go. I just heard about those. Yeah. Wow.
I think he's good now. Nice.
Right,
cool.
Nice.
He just wanted to say hi to everybody.
Awesome.
So back on the readiness thing. So we learned very quickly that the AI could actually help us tell people when they were done studying. And we're still figuring out what that means. We're still trying to put that score together, figure out how it fits in the product. We got lots of smart people working on that. But from my standpoint as the CEO, I'm like, that's what people want. Imagine just being told, hey guys, you're done studying. You're good. Go take that exam, 98 to 99% confident and accurate that you're ready to go. That's great. So we're really, really excited about that. And that came from product squads.
And that sounds so familiar when you think about the agile software development methodology, some of the terms that came out of the powered scrums, but you're doing that for a whole org. So that's amazing to see that you're guaranteeing the other founders that they're going to have a bulletproof workforce that's going to get accredited, go out there and start killing it. So that's awesome. And that plays very good into our next question, right? You say adaptability is your critical strength in your career, right? How do you approach new challenges or industries, and what strategies do you use to become effective in unfamiliar territories quickly? So those unfamiliar ontologies.
Well, Fredzo, I got to say, I've learned that being smartly vulnerable has gotten me a lot of good things in my life. I've, like I mentioned early on in that first question, I don't know. I'll raise my hand and say, I don't know how to do this. I feel like in a lot of senses, in a lot of cases, people expect leaders to have the answers. And I think that's natural. I think that's normal. I think it's better for a leader to say, I don't know, let's figure this out together. You might know something, I might know something. Let's talk about it, as opposed to me just trying to, oh my gosh, I hope I got it all in my head. And, and that's where all that anxiety and stress starts to come in, right? All these people are counting on you and you feel like you can't ask for help. And so I just very quickly said, you know what, man, I'm just going to say, I don't know how to do that. Set the expectation low right there and then climb over that bar. And people are okay with that. People are like, hey, thanks for being honest. That's all I know how to do. But once you do know and you grab the right people or you get that information within the organization, we've found at Pocket Prep that testing small, just kind of saying hey, let's try this. And let's see if that works. And let's plant that seed. I mentioned the garden, right? We plant that in the garden and see if it starts to grow. Let's water it, man. That's great. If it's not, let's move it over here, see if it gets some sunlight. What's it missing? Yeah. Or hey, maybe we don't want to grow that. Maybe that's not what we were intending, and we just want to pull that, put it somewhere else, or take it offline. But I mentioned entrepreneurially, we started off doing this nights and weekends. We worked 40 plus hours at Lockheed, and we'd do something on the weekends, or work in the evenings and we would test, and it grew, right? And so we were able to just very smartly make that decision because it was growing at a pace that we could see and we could track it, as opposed to like taking money from investors and having a burn rate. You have 12 months to run your company and then you're out of money and you're out of luck. Like, I mean, that sounds like a heart attack waiting to happen to me. So
you wind up
we just like to go nice and slow.
You wind up on failery.org, one of these other sites that track you when you hit your demise. So you said something that sounds familiar to me real quick. You said, I don't know, let's find out. Now, I first learned that in the Apple, so I didn't know that was like a knack to this, right? So how did that strengthen your adaptability after you were okay with being vulnerable?
I think so. I know that it made me feel like myself that it was the best thing to do. Like, even if people said like, I don't know if that's the right leader, if he's making the right choice, or if he should have said that, I felt like it was the right thing to say, to raise my hand and ask for help. And then to follow that up with, and I will find the answer, or we will get through this together. People still want to hear that you've got it, and that you're there, you're the anchor that's going to help us get there. But I found that you don't have to know exactly what the next move is going to be, and that you have people around you to help you with that. And that's what makes a good leader, is saying like, who at this table is going to help us be successful. I don't need the spotlight. I might have the title, but it doesn't need to be all about me or all about the C-suite or the leaders. It's all of us together making it happen.
100%.
I think that's a great mindset as a leader, and as you talk about having that vulnerability, and I think when you're managing people, just to come right out from the jump and say, hey, this is something I don't know, but I'm relying on you, or we can work on this together to figure it out. And I think you'll garner more respect that way, as opposed to I'm the one true being that knows everything, can't tell me nothing different. So as if you work with startups and established companies, so like, what are the main differences in leadership and strategy between these two environments, and how do you adjust your approach accordingly?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We started really assigning work and figuring out, kind of mentioning like who's at the table and who's doing what, and figuring out priorities. We quickly realized that we needed people to help manage the operations, manage the process and the outcomes. But we didn't want those managers walking around like Lumbergh from Office Space saying like, where's the TPS reports, and like drinking coffee and leaning on stuff and go, are you going to come in today? What's going on?
Right.
I need you to come in on Saturday.
You should have come in. Exactly. We didn't want that, but we knew we needed management. And so how are we going to build that? And we landed at this concept of player coach. So somebody that was effective in getting the actual task done. So they knew how to program, or they knew how to design something, or they knew how to translate business needs into a product scenario. But they also cared enough to make sure that their team was successful doing that, so that they could kind of be there to say, this is how we do this, and then check in with each person under their span of care to make sure that they're doing it in an acceptable way. And that's tough, because everybody has different preferences on how they code, or how they want to see their work done, or how they want to manage their work or themselves. And so having somebody there that can be effective at the job to earn that respect, to show that, hey, I know what I'm talking about, but I really want you to do it the right way too, so that you're effective, and that we can slowly, and that sets the stage for this sort of many hats, right? The startup wears many hats. You got people kind of doing different things, helping out, kind of flowing with the operation. But then when things get more complex and large, you need specialists in place to grow those individual things. And that player coach mindset really helps you feel that out. And it kind of, again, going back to the garden analogy, it really just kind of gardening that, making sure your garden is ready for more, whatever you want to say, fruits or veggies, whatever you're growing. And that sets the stage for that to happen by equipping people with people skills and the technical skills, and finding that blend, and then specializing and adding more specialized, contributors at that point. But it's a slow process.
Can I keep with the analogy then too? Because I hear this, I've heard this time and time throughout my career, right? The folks in software factories and startups are pretty difficult to work with, right? And they're very, like you said, niche, professional craftsmen. How do you deal with to Dr. Joseph's point, the intellectual or a group of folks that are like the integrated pest management? Like, they know, but they don't want to break down the walls and share that knowledge. Or they don't want to feel so vulnerable and be the craftsman for everybody.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've seen people who believe that if they can do it better, that makes them more valuable, or if they have a special secret with how they get things done, they're not going to share that with the rest of the organization because it diminishes their contribution. And that's a tough one, man. Like, convincing somebody to feel safe, because that's a form of vulnerability, right? Like, hey, I'm going to give you my secret sauce and hope that you don't say, oh, thank you. Organization takes it and says, now we don't need so-and-so. We could just,
we could pip them out.
Exactly. Just tip them out and they're gone, right?
Yeah.
And so that is a trust thing. And I found that really trying to build that up in a team, creating that psychological safety for people to bring their best to the table as people, as professionals. But there's no magic way to just have somebody kind of open up and do that. I found that every situation is a little different. People are motivated in different ways. Maybe it's fear, like we mentioned, or maybe it's something else. But no matter how you slice it, if you can get that person to see that, them sharing that secret sauce with the rest of the company or teaching their fellow teammates how to do what they do, and grow them alongside themselves, only makes them stronger together. It increases the job security for everybody. It lets us take on more business, lets us do cooler things, geek out about stuff that's coming along. But if you hold that back and we grow slower than we could have, I don't know, you're kind of creating your own reality at that point, because you kept it back and now nothing's changed, right? I guess you got what you wanted.
Yeah, it sounds like Pocket Prep is that nutrient management that the plants need. You need a nice little amendment, nice soil conditions, some watering, and that thing will thrive and survive,
That's right.
So Peter, continuous learning has been a focus throughout your career. So in today's, rapidly changing business landscape, how do you stay current, and what advice would you give to other professionals looking to remain relevant in their fields?
Yeah, I found it a lot easier to. So I'm a supply chain guy, and that's what my original focus was when I joined Lockheed, was supply chain management. And there's this concept of pushing and pulling. So, systems that push information versus pulling it to you. And I found that in my case, I'm a weirdo. I clear my inbox every day. And with the election and everything, there's tons of emails, like emails out of control right now. But I do it anyway. And I do it as a meditative, I know this is dumb and I know I'm going to hit the delete button 280 times, but I'm going to do it. And in doing that, reading the headlines, I have some TLDR type, newsletters and things that come in and give me some information. And I try to dive in and spend some time with my coffee each morning, just looking at what's happening outside, local news, business, this and that, philosophy and stuff. I like science and theories of consciousness, stuff like that. So I have all this kind of things, educational things come to me, and I kind of choose when I consume them. But it's really about plugging in. I had to go figure out, what do I want to hear about? What do I care about? What do I want to keep close to me? And then just kind of have it come to you. And sometimes it can feel like a lot, but if you do that, at least you have to kind of deal with it. You got to clear out that inbox, and it kind of forces you to stay in the know. And it surprises me how much I pick up just looking at articles and saying ooh, that does look fascinating. Ooh, what is going on with this or that? And it helps keep me curious.
So you're pulling all that from everywhere, and you're siphoning through the ones that give you the energy.
Yes.
Nice. Yep. That's what's up.
It's working well.
Again, we have Peter J here on the Cyber Coffee Hour, part of the Alive Podcast Network. As we get ready to transition here, just learn a little bit more about Peter and also what are the things that he likes to do on his off time as well. Well, first, Peter, so I understand you're not a cybersecurity expert, but from your perspective, or your vantage point, what do you feel like the most emerging or significant emerging threats in cybersecurity today, and how should organizations prepare for them?
Yeah. I have seen, I don't know about you guys, but I get texts from unknown numbers almost daily. That's social engineering stuff where they try to, John Oliver did a big expose on pig butchering, which is the scheme where you get somebody, you pretend it's a fake number. They text you, you respond. Oh, I'm so-and-so. And they start this innocuous conversation, and it seems safe and fine. And according to what he reported on, months, guys, they spend the long con really getting to know you as a person, real conversations, checking in with you, building trust, long time, months. And then finally they show you a crypto opportunity that's not real. They show you a fake app, and they assume that most people don't know the crypto markets, are not looking at that. And they figure out a way to get you, they go, look, I'm making all this money on this app. And you think it's a real exchange. You think it's tied into what's happening. It's not, it's fake. And they get you, they show you, 900% returns, and they've conned people into remortgaging their homes, selling all their properties, putting it into fake crypto. And it's really just going into someone's wallet in a fake app that they get you to do everything. So it never feels like you're being tricked. You are choosing, I'm downloading this app. I'm using the code they give me. They built an app that's like a scam and they actually use it to get people's money. It's wild. And so that scares me because I actually do get those. And then, obviously they show people responding like, F you, this is terrible, like getting mad at the scammers. But then they expose that the scammers are a lot of people that are under duress from, they're being held at gunpoint to do this kind of stuff. So it's all really complicated and nasty. And I just think about that when I get a text that's like, hi, Jeremy, how are you? And I want to be like, I'm not Jeremy. And I'm like, oh, that's the point. They want to reciprocate and kind of, they take your humanity and they weaponize it against you and they take you for that. And it's just scary and sad, but it's the first thing that comes to mind for me.
And that's a great point you make. Like hearing that from someone outside of the industry, that's the hardest thing to, like we call it attribution. It's the hardest thing to prove that weapon system is on the other end of, unfortunately, a victimology, like a human server farm, right? And it's great hearing that from somebody outside the industry to make that connection so quickly, because it takes years and years to build attribution to that particular scheme. Right. So and it's unfortunate because it's thriving today and the sophistication. Right. Somebody who is the malicious folks went through the means to set up the infrastructure, set up the app, have the victimology, and then play on the heartstrings. I hate to say it that way, but of folks in the United States and other, other countries, which is insane. It's insane to me.
It is.
So, Peter, what was the first piece of technology that sparked your interest in cybersecurity?
I am an avid old school MMO guy. I used to get down on EverQuest. I had friends playing Asheron's Call, Ultima Online before that. I played some StarCraft, but I grew up in the suburbs of Florida, man, and it was really hot outside. We ran around as kids. We had fun, but when we got home, we like to use our tech to kind of do the AOL dial-up, and connect in and play some video games. Yeah.
So let's see how far you go back, because you just triggered a memory. Do you remember a game called Gavelius on the Master System?
No.
Oh, okay. So that triggered a memory for me.
Okay.
Because you're right. It's always that sound, and then the theme of the game would come up.
That's so funny. Yep.
Yeah.
We knew what sounds. If the modem made certain sounds, we knew we were getting disconnected. We were in trouble. I mean, we lived and died off that stupid connection. Someone tried to call our parents while we were playing video games and kick us off the internet and get so mad. I don't miss those days.
Yeah.
I do, but I don't.
That's before consoles were even on the internet. Now that I think about it, like that's insane. It was like your whole profile in life existed because of that connection.
It did. I remember I had some buddies in computers. They managed to hook up Halo, the original Halo console game on Xbox, to the internet. And it was very weird how you had to get that to do that. You had to take it through a server and connect it. And then there was hacking and latency issues, all sorts of weird, jittery stuff happening. But that was the only way to play consoles on the internet. Yeah, I remember that.
So that's an interesting aspect of video gaming that we could probably do a whole nother episode on, for real. So now I have to ask, what were some of the challenges and obstacles that you had to overcome into your journey to success and where you are today?
Yeah. My biggest struggle, something I still struggle with, is anxiety. And I try to, it's so funny, guys. My wife has anxiety and she was aware of that. And I had anxiety and I was not aware of it. And there was a comedian on TikTok that was talking about, being polite versus having anxiety. And I totally fell into this bucket. And he gives this example of being on an airplane and counting all the people that have to leave the plane before it's his turn so that he's not too slow, so he doesn't slow everybody else behind him. But I'm 6'5", I'm a big guy. And a lot of my motivation in life has been getting out of people's way, not being, I've been told I'm a better door than a window too many times to count. I've yelled at concerts, get down in front. I was like, I've been waiting an hour here, And so anxiety, letting people down, not doing a good job, not being in the right place, getting yelled at for something, that sort of thing. And in aerospace, there was a lot of yelling. There was a lot of paramilitary, grown men crying in conference rooms. I wasn't there for the cigarette smoke days where that kind of stuff would, point cigarettes at you, get it done, cussing, making you feel terrible. And I wanted to do better than that. I knew that was what was happening, and I didn't want to take that. And then when it was my turn, dish that back out and recreate that type of environment. I wanted to break that chain. And in order for me to do that, I had to really come to terms with the fact that a lot of what I do was based off of fear. I was afraid. And so how do I transition out of anxiety now that I feel like the company is doing so well and I'm doing well and I'm working on my mental health and I'm working on my physical health and kind of all ties together. and finding new motivation in pushing forward that isn't fear oriented. Like, hey, we have to make money because money might go away, or hey, we have to beat AI because AI might tank our business, or what is the right way to go about growth or improvement when it isn't anxiety or fear based? And so I've been asking myself that question. I don't have the answer yet, but I've been really trying to think of like, what does that look like to be successful, be happy where you're at, and not have to grow, like, but also want to grow, and then applaud the growth that happens, but also give yourself the benefit of, hey, I didn't grow, and that's okay too. And so it's just kind of learning how to exist and be okay with what you've done, and not be so coupled to the outcome. And I think if I can learn how to get good at that, I think I'll see the world through a whole different lens, and that's exciting.
Hell yeah! So that journey, right? We're gonna take that journey together, Peter, because you're right. That is definitely something that I think I share with you as somebody that's fearful of the outcome. I heard that resonate, but then also like being okay with where you're at, being content. Like, I'm a man of faith too. That's in the Bible. Being content is really a difficult thing to do today. So yeah, let's take that journey together, man. You got a new homie now.
I love it. Thank you.
Okay, so let's lighten it up a little bit more too, right? What is your favorite coffee preference?
Ooh, I am a big advocate. So I make my coffee. I kind of geek out on it. Coarse ground. I got the little grinder. I love to find some whole bean, something medium, breakfasty, roasty, some caramel, some kind of a little more sweet. But I love putting it through that coarse grind and getting a good French press going. A little bit of water, let it bloom a little bit, let all the gas out. Maybe just whisper a little something to it in the morning, kind of put some good energy in there, and then let it steep. Cook it for 8 minutes, and I don't know, brew it, cook it, however you want to say that. But I let it sit.
Man.
Yeah, why not?
And you said it's a French press too?
Yeah, French press. I love all the flavor that you get from the oils that you would otherwise lose in the drip. There's some pop science on whether it's okay for your heart or not. I remember seeing some headlines like, "Oh, drip coffee might be better because it takes away the oils." I'm like, right, the flavors. What are you talking about?
Right. I've seen those too. I've seen those like in 2014, I think. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck.
Right.
We love the oils.
Still drinking it.
Okay. So, if you could have any superpower to help you in cybersecurity, what would it be and why?
I always wanted to fly, but I don't think that's going to help me in cybersecurity. Rather, we talked about attribution, right? Knowing where something came from.
Yeah,
that would be a great power to have.
Oh, is it mind reading or?
Oh, yeah, maybe intention knowing.
Oh,
so you can't quite read their mind. We got to keep that little bit of privacy for them. I don't want to know everybody's thoughts. I think there's a lot of thoughts out there. But the intention would be great, because I feel like there are some innocuous emails and messages that come in that are real, from somebody with, just black text on a white background reaching out through cyberspace. And I think those opportunities are super cool, but we live in a world where that's unfortunately not always a safe, thread to pull on. And so I think having the ability to know and get curious safely would be really fun.
I think that's an interesting point, because you will. I think we're almost trained to try to avoid, or almost even like when growing up, you're being taught to not talk to strangers. Yeah. But then as we get older now, for us to create our brand, when we talk about that, you got a network, so you got to talk to strangers.
You're talking to it on a world community, not just your neighborhood. Now. Right. You're talking to like the world.
Yeah.
Right. So you're taking those things that maybe that we've had ingrained in our minds, and we're almost unlearning it to a sense. But it also I think it kind of shows that growth as well. But it can be hard, as you mentioned, like when you see something like that, like, yes, you're being taught to like, oh man, when this kind of email comes in, I should just put it in the junk mail, where it could be legit. But sometimes we just won't know because we didn't even give it a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think with the intention too, like those technologies that built the reputation, I mean, they've kind of came and went and come back again over the years, but the intention comes with reputation. Like, are these known bad folks in the world, and are these good folks that I've been associated with all the time? How do you tread the line to give people a safer space to speak in? Hopefully to your point with AI you made earlier, hopefully AI is the enabler for that, because it's getting kind of sketchy out here, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So Peter, what are some like hobbies, interests, or recreation activities that you enjoy, outside of work?
Oh yeah. Big motorcycle guy. Loved my motorcycle. Unfortunately, I got knocked off my bike pretty bad back in March. by a Tesla, which was a bummer because I thought they were supposed to have more visibility than that. Yeah, the guy ended up making a panic turn out of the left lane.
That's interesting.
While I was in the right lane, and he was like, "Oh, that's my turn," and he just I'm 40 miles an hour, man. I just see the side of the Tesla. I'm like, "What is that?" Boom, smack right into it. Always wear your gear, riders. Always wear your gear. I had knee pads on. I had my riding jeans. I had my leather jacket with the reinforcements and the armor in it, and that saved my bacon. I would have had busted my knees real bad when that bike dropped.
Jeez.
But yeah, love motorcycles. Taking a little bit of a break from that for a little bit, just kind of get my head on straight. But I love martial arts. And so I used to do all sorts of different karate, and I did some Muay Thai for a little while. It was a little bit, I don't want to say violent, but impractical. Like learning how to kick to break bamboo and crazy, the way they do that is super impressive. But I have found that Aikido actually is my flavor of choice when it comes to martial arts. Aikido is all about receiving and giving energy. And it's a peaceful practice. It's trying to understand the attacker's point of view when they attack you. And a lot of the moves are like fluid dancing, where you kind of grab and spin around behind and see where the attacker is looking to try to gain their perspective and say, is that why you're attacking me? So it's really about like harmony and understanding, and then being able to gently like take that energy and ground it so that it doesn't hurt anybody, hurt you or hurt them. And I just think that's like a form of, I get excited about it. It's a form of mastery, and it helps. To me, it's like attacking that anxiety we talked about, right? Like I'm okay. I can deal with this situation. I can do it without hurting anybody. I can do it without hurting myself. And all of a sudden the fear goes away and you realize you're in control and you'll be okay. And I see that through that. So that's kind of
cool. How long you been studying that?
Just a year for Aikido. And unfortunately, not even a full one, like I said, with that accident back in March.
Right.
It's not super athletic, so it's nice to be able to kind of have that. You get up, you feel active. You're basically getting up off the floor a lot, because a lot of the moves are like, okay, you're going to throw me, and then I'm going to throw you, and we're going to do that 4 times each, and then we're going to switch partners. And so it's a lot of like picking yourself up. But it leaves some room for strength training and cardio and things like that, which is nice. So get a little mix of exercise routine, and keeps me energized. That and coffee.
No, 100%. How did you find Aikido? Did you go to like a dojo, or what's the style? Like, did that come from Muay Thai? Like, how did you discover Aikido?
Yeah, I had a really cool conversation with a guy in a local pub here in the neighborhood in Seattle, and he was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, super smart. He was an instructor, and we were actually talking about how there had been a little bit of a scuffle in the bar pre-COVID. This was all back when people, at least in Seattle, were really going out and having a good time. We're slowly seeing that again. But anyway, we were talking about how I was studying Muay Thai. It was really athletic. It was helping me get into shape, super aerobic, a lot of kicks, punches, and elbows. If a bar fight breaks out and you use that, you're just going to contribute to the violence. Like, it's more striking. It's more like, okay, if there's a problem, I'm just going to knock this guy out. That's not good. Whereas he could, as a jiu-jitsu artist, he could just take them down and gently stop the fight and say, we're done, right? Yeah, we're done. Cool. Everybody can walk away from it. And it was that realization of like, this isn't very practical unless I'm actually going to go cage fight somebody, right? And so that's where I mentally started shifting. And it was really weird because I didn't search, I want Aikido. It just started to come into my life in a weird way. Like I wanted something. And then I started things popped up in my inbox that weren't normally there. I mean, this could be attribution, or it could be cybersecurity stuff.
It could be an AI.
It could be AI, right? Or it could be some meta consciousness, whatever. But it just started to resonate with me. And I was like, what is this? What is this? And I ended up watching some cool videos and seeing the art and the movements and things and the forms, and just realized that it was more my speed. And I think it just resonated with where I'm at in my life. Instead of trying to go fast on the motorcycle or be strong and, be an action guy, I don't know. To just saying, you know what, I want to be somebody that people can count on and someone who isn't afraid. And in order to do that, I have a lot of work I have to do on myself. And that practice kind of sets me up to put me in that mindset so I can practice it well beyond the mat, which I think is great.
100%. If you have any of those references included share it with us, and we'll include it in the story, the show notes. Excuse me.
Oh, definitely.
Peter, we had a great time with you on the Cyber Coffee Hour. So before we let you go, is there anything you want to share with our listeners?
No, I would just say, if you guys are looking for affordable study materials, check us out. We've got all sorts of IT and cyber exams. We're subscription based. You can start the subscription, study whatever you want within the bundle of exams that we offer. And when you're done, just turn it off. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run. We've had a lot of users and customers cram multiple exams at once and just really stack their resume to get the job they want. So yeah, we're here for you if you need us.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you, those listening and watching, and joining us for another episode of the Cyber Coffee Hour, part of the Alive Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode, explore more engaging content in the Alive Podcast Network app. By supporting this podcast and nearly 100 other Black-hosted shows, you can enjoy ad-free listening while contributing to a diverse range of voices in the podcasting space. We appreciate your support and look forward to sharing more insightful conversations with you in our next episode. So until then, keep brewing those ideas and stay curious about cybersecurity. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. We out of here. Peace.
Yeah.